Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the MMAOB Daily Podcast. It is Monday, February 6th, 2023. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, joined by my co-host here, Mr. Big Marcel. Marcel, what's going on, man? Glad to have you back on the channel. How's everything, man?
All good, man. All good. How about you?
Good, man. Just looking forward to talking about the card with you this weekend, and then obviously this weekend's card, UFC 284. So UFC Vegas 68 obviously took place Saturday. We'll recap that. We'll recap Bellator quickly as well. In this podcast, and then once this is done, we'll do the UFC 284 preview on the next podcast, Marcel. So, double podcast for you guys as always on a Monday afternoon. Marcel, I say let's just get right into it. UFC Vegas 68 and start talking about this card. So, just before we get into it, man, I couldn't stay up for it, bro. I wanted to. I really did, Marcel, but it started at 10 p.m. and it didn't end until like 4 in the morning. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Like, trust me, guys, I want to. But I used, what's crazy? I used to be able to do like the Ryzen cards like overnight. Like I could do that, like Pride. But I can't do it anymore, man. I'm getting old, Marcel. So I was like, you know what? I'll just get up in the morning and I'll go through it fast, which I did. I got through the card in like an hour and a half, maybe. Like there was like obviously a lot of finishes early on. And then, it wasn't the greatest card, let's be honest with you. But like it's crazy. Like it was a 6-hour card, but I was able to get through it really quickly just because I waited until the next morning. So overall, I mean, it was okay. But obviously, Marcel, let's be honest, like it wasn't, the most star-studded card. So just overall thoughts on it before we get into the fights.
The card sucked donkey balls, dude. A horrible card, to be honest. The prelims were okay, they weren't that bad. The main card was dragging. Nothing really happened, in my opinion. And then you get like in the middle, you get Tibura against Ivanov, which. I was happy when it was over. I was happy Spivac finished early because it was like, I think how late was it at my place? 9:30, 10 a.m. around that time. So,
did you have a nap before the card, or how did you?
Yeah, I took a nap for 5 hours before the card. I just woke up when Brandon Ward was fighting Sabah Hamasi in Bellator. That's when I woke up. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think Dana said they're not going to do it like this again. It's just too late,
It also doesn't make sense. Just stupid,
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw someone make a great point. They were like, okay, well, everyone's like, okay, well, this card was supposed to be for the Korean fans, so that's why it's like this. But then someone else was like, made a great point. They're like, okay, well, if it's for the Korean fans, why didn't they just do it there? Like,
yeah.
Right? So once they moved it to Vegas, they should have went back to the normal start time. Anyways, like, whatever. Dana White said it's not going to be like this going forward. It's just too late, man. I'm assuming like the viewership wasn't great either. It wasn't like you said the greatest card. Again, I'm not going to sit here and whine about it because fights are fights and fights are good to watch. But Marcel, like I got to be honest, man. Some of these cards right now, the next couple of weeks are a little bit watered down. Like that Santos Blanchfield card, guys, is just like terrible. Like you have Jordan Wright in the co-main event against Zach Pauga. Like, come on, that's not a co-main event. No offense to those guys. Like, they're going to put on probably a fun fight, but It's not a co-main event. It's not. So, anyways, let's get some comments here. We'll get into the card. We got Antoine. What's going on, man? Glad to have you here. Weekend was fine. JPH, what's going on, buddy? John, watched the prelims, went to bed. Yeah, it's tough, John. I mean, it's not easy. It's just so late, right? Like, I watched Bellator, I stayed off Twitter, so I didn't see any spoilers for the UFC, basically, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up early and then watched the card. That's what I did, so. Marcus, what's up, man? He said he got Spivac for a discount, -180 for the fight in November. Oh, yeah, the one got canceled. I think he closed at, like, -300? So, and he looked like he was -1,000, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Antoine said he had work that night, prelim store when he got off. It was kind of clutch. Well, that's pretty good, then. That's not bad for you at all. Yeah, it was just tough. Like, I don't know, man. I'm getting old, guys. I got a kid now and stuff. Like, I'm an old man now. Like I said, back in the day, it was like, back when I was like a single guy, I'm a young guy, I could stay up all night and watch the Rising card. Like, I remember watching, like, the one where like King Mo knocked out like Yuri, like I think that was like 7 or 8 years ago. I stayed up the whole night and watched that. I can't do it anymore. I wish I could, but I can't. Anyways, let's just get into the card, guys. We'll recap it. So let's start with the main event. Obviously, Serghei Spivac submits Derrick Lewis. I called TKO and he was ground and pounding the shit out of him, man. I'm like, all right, this is it. We got it. And then he obviously just gets the arm triangle choke. Derrick tapped out pretty quick. Like he obviously didn't want to be there. Two thoughts from the fight. First off, Spivac's legit, man. I mean, he's good. 7-3 now in the UFC, and his losses are pretty good fighters too. So he's definitely legit. I mean, this is a big win, and almost all his wins are by stoppage. Like he's one of the youngest guys in the division. He's just turned 28 years old. He's good, man. I think he's a good fighter. And then obviously Lewis now he's lost 3 straight and 4 of his last 5 by stoppage. Dana White said they're going to keep him around. They're not going to cut him. Obviously, I didn't think that would happen anyways because he's still popular, but he's not a top guy anymore, man. He's not, you know. So yeah, those are my 2 thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on the fight, Marcel. Go ahead.
I mean, Spivac was just in control from the beginning. You know, the moment he put him on the ground, Lewis tried to stand up, and Spivac dragged him back down. Yeah, what can you say about that fight? I was happy it was over early, and Spivac did very well. I think very good. Deserved the bonus, got the bonus. What else can you say about it? Good submission win. Yeah, Lewis had nothing for him.
No. And Marcel, like, he's not a top guy anymore, you know? I know it's not that long when he knocked out first place. It was 2 years ago, but, like, it is a long time then, man. He's 37, turned 38.
I never saw Lewis as a top guy, to be really honest. I thought he was just like a guy with knockout power who would be able to knock anybody out at every single moment, you know. But a top guy, yeah, I know he fought for the title, you know, but still, I mean, never really saw that in him. And that's why I'm also really bad at picking Lewis all the time, you know, because I picked very many times against him because I thought the other opponent was more talented, and then he knocked him out of nowhere, you know. And now I pick Lewis this time, and now he shows like this. So it's Lewis is for me like the same as Josh Emmett, you know. I always pick wrong. So
he's like the Paul Craig for me. Like I can't get that guy's fights right. There's just certain fighters that like you don't have a great read on. But like I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, like he does have some good wins, man. He beat Francis. I know the fight was terrible, but like he still won that fight, you know. Volkov, obviously, that was what you're talking about, like coming back with a knockout and obviously the Blades fight too. I know what you're saying, Marcel. Like I think at this point he's definitely not a top guy. He's turning 38 tomorrow. Like he's getting up there. He's lost 4 of his last 5. I think they're just going to use him as like a stepping stone now. Like I think I'm looking at the rankings. Number 6 is Aspinall and Lewis is 7. Like maybe that's the fight they give Aspinall when he comes back from his injury, you know, because he probably wins the fight too. Or maybe they give it to like a Jailton Almeida, Marcel. Maybe they're like, here, Jailton, you could fight him and try to get in the top 10 now. I could see that happening too, you know. So, but I think at this point he's not really a top guy. It's had some fun fights in the UFC, but yeah. Talk about the money coming in Spivac for sure. Yeah, he probably did have an injury. I mean, I think it's got some bad back or whatever. So, by the way, it's funny because like he said he had COVID last time, but when the UFC announced he was out, they said a non-COVID illness. Then he said he had COVID. Very weird, right? Like if he had COVID, why didn't they just say he had COVID? I don't really understand. Like it's kind of bizarre, right?
Really weird, actually. Yeah,
it is weird. You guys think Derrick retires, and if so, does he go to the Hall of Fame? Most knockouts in UFC history. He's not retiring. I don't think he's going to keep taking fights. Like he's making good money. Is he going to the Hall of Fame? I mean, that's a really good question, Antoine, because you're right. He does have the most knockouts. I don't think Vitor Belfort's in the Hall of Fame yet. I could be wrong. I don't think he is, though, Marcel. I think he's second. Yeah, he's not, right? So, like, I would imagine he goes in before Derrick, like, because he actually had the record for a long time, but until Derrick broke it. I think once it's all said and done, there's a good chance he would because he does have that record, but it could go either way. I do think there's a good chance, though, Antoine. I would lean towards yes. What do you think, Marcel? I guess I would lean towards yes because of the record.
I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame, to be really honest, man. I mean, I hope it for him. Would be cool for him, but the thing is with these kind of things, man, it's what we said earlier. You know, you got to have a certain wing for the Hall of Fame where you have like a certain accomplishment thing. You know what I mean? For example, the Jim Miller. Most fights, Neil Magny, most welterweight wins, for example. But then it's not like the Golden Hall of Fame, but make it like a silver kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really good point, man. I know you've talked about that before. I actually like that, Marcel. It's a good idea. Marcus had a comment. I don't know who's managing Derrick Lewis, but I would have never booked a fight Spivac. It was a horrible matchup where Lewis didn't seem motivated to fight back. Is he still with First Row Management, or?
I think I don't know for sure, but I think.
Yeah. He's talking about Bonner being the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, Dana White has that soft spot for that fight. I mean, we all do, right? So, and I think Dana even said they want to have the whole cast from Ultimate Fighter 1 in it. So, I don't know. I think he's kind of like Bonner, rest in peace. He's kind of like outlier a little bit because there's not many people in the Hall of Fame, you know. But again, it's going to expand in the future, guys. Like, it's still a new sport. Like, it's still a new thing. The
I
thing is, Marcel, it's not really a real Hall of Fame because no one's voting on it. It's just whoever Dana wants to put in it. You know what I mean?
and there are people not in the Hall of Fame which should definitely be in the Hall of Fame, man.
Frank Shamrock, right?
That's the most obvious name. You know,
Tito
whatever
Ortiz
Dana,
even. Or maybe
whatever.
Tito's in it, actually, isn't he? I think he
Tito is.
Yeah.
But whatever Dana thinks about Frank Shamrock doesn't make sense, or doesn't make a difference. You know, it's about what he did. You know, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. No. How do you say that? No question at all.
Maybe as the sport evolves, like you'll have the media eventually voting on that. You know, it's possible. Like, but right now it's just whoever Dana White really, just whoever he likes. That's the truth. All right, let's get on to the next fight here. We had Devin Clark decisioning Woon Jung, who changed the spelling of his name, Marcel. That is, I believe, official now. Not the most exciting fight, but good for Clark, man. Marcel, he's a guy that I'm not the greatest at picking his fights. Like, he's had a lot of these kind of upset wins in his career that I didn't necessarily see coming. And this one, like, man, like, I don't know what happened to Woon Jung, because I remember 2 years ago when he fought William Knight, like, the grappling he showed in that fight was like very, very good, and then knocked out Kennedy Chukwu, and since then 2 straight losses, like, just not looking like the same fighter anymore. I don't know what happened to this guy. Seems to be on a decline, which is kind of surprising because he's not that old. He's only 29. I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he didn't look good in this fight. And good for Clark, man. He won every round with the wrestling, so not a great fight, Marcel, but Devin Clark got the job done. His dad was screaming from the crowd again. Any thoughts?
Yeah, happy for Devin Clark. Don't get me wrong, but the fight wasn't great at all. You know, it was very kind of like Luster, but very well done by Clark. You know, and Woon Jung looked bad. You know.
Yeah, he did.
And I think this was actually for the UFC to showcase Woon Jung a little bit more, you know, to give him the co-main event spot. And he blew it, man. Clark showed up. So, good for Clark, you know. Happy for him. He's a good guy. So, yeah.
I completely agree with what you just said. He did. Like, I think they wanted him to win this fight. I really do. Like, and man, he was supposed to be in South Korea, right, Marcel? So, like, that's where he's from. But, you know, Clark, again, he's a guy that has that grappling background, and he can go to it if he needs to, and he did in this fight. Good for him.
Let's be honest, man. All Asian fighters on this card got winnable fights matchups for them. You know, in my opinion.
Not all of them succeeded. We'll talk about a few other ones in a second here.
Yeah.
Jens Pulver should be the Hall of Fame since Marcus. I agree.
I agree.
He'll go in it one day, I think. I think he's one of the guys that will go in it because I think Dana White does like him. First lightweight champion. Antoine's asking about the road to UFC. I mean, for me, it's still the Nakamura, right? Like, that's
obviously,
yeah. Like, the guy we talked about him last week. He's a stud. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. So let's just get through the other fights in the main card. This fight, really not much to say about this one, Marcel. Marcin Tybura and Blagoy Vaughn, just an absolutely dreadful fight. Should have never been on the main card. Tatsuro Taira should have been on the main card instead of this fight. Like, anyways, the fight was pretty bad to watch. It was 1-1 heading to the third round. Then Tybura got that takedown and wrote it up for decision. 4 minutes and 55 seconds of control in round 3, Marcel. Like, the whole round was him laying on top of Ivanov. It was not a great fight to watch. Do you think Ivanov gets cut after this fight? Because, like, really, like, he's not the most exciting guy to watch. All his fights go to decision. What do you think, man?
I don't know, man. I'm just sad that I didn't have to take a shit during that fight. I mean, oh, come on, man. We already knew when we saw that booking, we knew exactly what was going to happen, you know?
Yep.
And it happened. Ivanov, I think he was really solid in WSOF back in the day, you know?
Yep.
But he really looks like a guy who is like, I think he's 35, but he looks like he's 55. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I respect him a lot, how he came back after that stabbing incident, you know.
Yep.
Well, absolutely amazing, you know, but man, he's such a tough watch in the UFC. It's not fun to watch. And Tybura, you know, if Tybura can get easy and take him down and control the person he fights, he also not really intriguing to watch, you know. So, and that's pretty much what he did, you know. So won his last 7 out of 8 fights, which is impressive. I think he only lost to Volkov in Abu Dhabi. But it's just not really fun to watch. And I really don't know what's the thing with the UFC with heavyweights on the card, dude. They're going to do it the next week again and the week after it again. And I also hear that Dontel Mace against, what's his name? Who he's fighting against? Dontel Mace on February 25th.
The main card fight, that's all I know, right?
Yeah, that's also on the main card. It's like, why do we put all these heavyweights on the main card when there is a big possibility we get a decision, a grinding decision?
Just
You know?
Augusto Sakai.
Yeah. I don't know. But
by the way, that guy Hamdi Abdulwahab tested positive. Now it's a no contest.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. All right, let's get some more comments here. This guy Rudy says that Lewis and Blagoy look ancient. I mean, maybe they could just do that fight again. Although the first fight was
let's don't.
Tabura, the most underrated heavyweight. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm not buying him completely. Like, again, he's overly relying on the takedown. Like, he needs to get it. This fight, if it stayed in the feet, I think Abana probably would have won that last round. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say because he is top 10 and doesn't get a lot of respect, but like, I don't know. I'm not too high on Tabura, to be honest with you. Tabura and Tuvesa, maybe you could do that fight. All right,
do Tuvasa against Ivanov and Tibura against Jalton Almeida.
Yeah, you could do that as well.
That's a big possibility of a knockout, at least, in both.
Agreed. All right, next fight here, Marcel. It kind of controversial. We'll talk about this one. I know you have a lot to say about this fight. Yu Choi and Kyle Nelson draw. You know, man, I got to be honest. Like, I'm okay with the draw. Like, a lot of people were saying this should have been 30-27 minus the point, 29-27. One of the judges did have that. I think it's fine if you score all the 3 rounds because he did do more damage. But like at the same time, like that's a lot of control that Nelson had. You know, so I don't blame the judges really for going for a draw because he just needed to win one of the first 2 rounds. And if you look at the stats, like the first round, Choi only landed 3 significant strikes to 1 for Nelson. Like again, 3-1. He should have won it, but Nelson had the takedown. He had a lot more control of, like, if you watch the fight, right? So, like, I don't blame the judges really for going that way. Like, but here's the thing. Really, the point deduction is why he lost, okay? That's why he lost the fight. And I know you didn't like the point deduction with the headbutt. Give me your thoughts, man, because like, I'll be honest, man. Like, for me, it's like that's a rule in the rule book. You're not supposed to do a headbutt, and he did it. So, I don't blame Chris Taioni it's Chris Taioni for taking the point. But at the same time, or so, like, if you're going to be by the book like that, take it for the groin shots too. You know, take it for the eye pokes, right? Because those do, honestly, Marcel, those do more damage that sometimes than this headbutt did. So give me your thoughts, because I know you weren't a fan of the point deduction.
Yeah, man, Chris Taioni should go suck cock. Dude, it's an idiot. What can I say? I mean, the first round, I can't agree with you. Could go either way. You could give it to Kyle Nelson.
Yeah.
Second round was to Duo Choi.
Yeah.
Third round, I thought Nelson started very well, you know, but Choi reversed him at a certain moment. In my opinion, Nelson had his hand on Choi's head, you know, and they were just fighting. And Nelson also pulled a little bit on his head, not a lot, a little bit, and Choi went with him and he touched him, but it was barely anything. He could just let it go, you know. Even Nelson wasn't looking at it, and then he's like, stop. And it's like, what the hell, you know? And he goes to rewatch it. Yeah, and if you're gonna rewatch it in the replay and you do it with the slow motion, yeah, you see it obviously, you know. And he's like 1 point. But like I said, man, that dude is a horrible ref. I said it before. You know, he's an idiot.
You never liked him, man.
No, man. And he's also I saw him in the short clip on the slap fighting. He should go there. You know, go do slap fighting.
You've never liked Mark Smith should join there, by the way. We'll talk about Mark Smith in a second.
Yeah, he also should go there.
Well, he is doing it. He is. They both are.
Yeah, they should both stay there. So stay away from
Jason Herzog's there too, which I'm surprised about.
Jason Herzog should only be doing MMA.
I don't get why they're wasting him doing this. Like, he's such a great ref.
I don't know why Nevada State Athletic Commission even sanctions that bullshit. But I mean, it is what it is. But the fight, I don't think it was a great fight at all, to be really honest. You know, I think Choi didn't show the Choi he should be showing, you know. I think Nelson did what he could do. You know, he should have lost the fight, in my opinion. But he got lucky due to the point deduction that it was a draw and that he got 2 from 2 judges the first round, which was possible. You know, I don't say it wasn't possible because
I'm looking at the scorecards. They both gave him the second round. The 2 that gave it to him. Okay, that's surprising, right? Because again. You look at the stats, like Choi outlanded him, and he didn't have much control in the second round. I think I gave him the first round too, to be honest with you. Like, because again, you know, like, there was a marginal strike difference for Choi, but like again, when it's that close, I do think the control comes into play. You know, and that's what the rules say, right? So,
but let's go back to the real thing. Chris Taioni is an idiot. Yeah. You know, it's not the first time he pulls out stupid stuff. You know,
you haven't liked him ever since that Timur Vallia fight with Trevin Jones. I remember.
Yeah, but he did more stupid stuff. I remember the Michel
Mike Rodriguez and Ed Herman.
Another one, Michel Pereira against the dude. What's his name? That really aggressive dude from Chechnya. What's his name? Michel Pereira slapped him because that guy slapped him during the weigh-ins. Do you remember who I mean?
Ahmad, what's his name?
Salim Imadaev. Salim
right?
Imadaev, yeah. He had him in a choke, but he never tapped, and he is like, okay, stop. It was never tapped. Really weird. But that Michel Pereira would have won that fight anyways. So, but just a complete idiot. I mean, I don't know why he keeps getting the fights, and I'm done with the dude. I've been very mellow on him the last couple of months. But dude is an idiot. He's just a blatant idiot. I'm done with that.
I'll say this too though about Troy. Like Marcel, he's just not the same guy he was 5 years ago.
Oh,
6 years ago.
True.
Like he had so much time off. And again, that fight with Cub Swanson, I was there for that fight in Toronto. It was 7 years ago now. That was a long time ago now. Like, but that's the kind of fight that takes years off your career, And then since then, he's had a couple wars. He's actually winless in his last 4 fights. He's just not the same guy. By the way, here's your burner account in the chat, Marcel. Valley of Jones terrible Ed Herman fight. That was the Ed Herman Mike Rodriguez fight is one of the most poorly officiated fights that like you can see. I'm pretty sure it was Chris Tyone, right? Or was it Mark Smith? It was Tyone, right? Yeah.
I mean, if it's not Tyone, we just say it's him. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I'm gonna double check. I got to see this. I have to double check. I don't want to be wrong when I say this shit. Let me double check. I think I'm right.
I mean, I don't care. Tyone is always wrong, so we can be wrong. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Let me double check. Yeah, it was Chris Tyone. I was right, but that was crazy. Anyways, all right, that's it for the main card. Let's go to the prelims now. Or sorry, my bad. The opening up the main card was Adam Fugia pulling off the upset over Yusaku Kinoshita. Listen, I talked to this guy before he made his debut. I think he's a pretty good fighter. But again, I really think this was a setup fight for Kinoshita to win. Like he's so much younger, and that head kick he landed, Marcel. I think a lot of guys get knocked out from that. I'm shocked this guy ate that kick and then was able to get the fight to the ground and beat him with the ground game, which he's got a good ground game. As we saw against Michael Morales, like he took him down too in the first round, right before he got tired from the lack of a training camp. The guy's not bad, but again, he's 34. He's same age as me, Marcel. It's basically like me in the octagon. Like I wonder how long my career would be, at age 34. But good for him, man. Pulls off upset as he was like a plus 300 underdog. I want to say like pretty big underdog, and I didn't really see it coming, man. And this is a parlay buster for us, Marcel, because we had Taira and Nakamura, right? We had the Japanese parlay, and this guy lost it for us. So it is what it is, right? Anyways, give me your quick thoughts on the fight.
So I was about to tweet out after the first round, like Fugit did great again in the first round, but can he hold on in the second? And then he stopped him. So, I mean, well done by him, And the thing is, like, he came into the UFC, he got signed off that win against Solomon Renfrew, right, in CFFC. And Solomon kind of got... In the contender series, I still think he kind of won against Johnny Parsons, but
I thought he won that fight too, split decision, right? Yeah.
So that's a good win actually as well, So well done by Fugit. I didn't saw it coming, but good for him. Very nice win. And Kinoshita is still young, so we will see him back. But he didn't look good, dude, on the ground.
No, he didn't, man. He got exposed a little bit in this fight. He's still young. He's 22. Definitely. So he's got a chance to bounce back. But, we know his striking is good. We saw that again. He looked good in the first minute. Like, he's fast, like, powerful. But you're right. The ground game got exposed in this fight. Okay. By the way, I would have given Fugitive a bonus, too. And I think this is the kind of guy that could really use it. Like, he's such an older fighter. He's put the time in, I think he could have used this bonus, like, personally. But, again, UFC gives up 4 bonuses when they could have just given out a couple extra, but that's on them. All right, let's go to the road to UFC fights now. We had Anshul Jubilee. He was, I think he did close his. Let me double check. He might have closed as the underdog. It was pick'em fight when we talked about it last week. This was the one I wasn't sure about. I'll be honest, so I was kind of like I didn't really know about this one. The other ones, I think we got them right. Yeah, he was an underdog, so he was a dog that the cash. Obviously, Fugit as well. Clark. There was a few underdogs in this card that won. The guy looked good, man. He looked really good in this fight. Like, and again, Marcel, we talked about like there's not too many Indian fighters in the UFC. Like, this is a big win for this guy. And if they ever go there, I mean, he would be one of the guys that would obviously feature on the card. So huge win for him. He gets a contract with UFC. Quick thoughts, man.
Yeah, good win, good finish. The Serghei guy was really looking for that one-punch knockout the whole damn time, but it didn't really work. And I don't think it was that much of a great fight. I thought Jubilee was clearly the better fighter, got to be honest here. And he did what he had to do and a good win, got the contract, second Indian-born fighter in the UFC.
Yeah.
So, good for him.
Good win for him. We had Zhang Young Lee defeat Yi Zha by split decision.
Yeah.
I don't know about this decision, man. I got to be honest with you. I'm looking at the scorecard. So one judge had it 30. Jacob Mattel, who's also a ref, he had 30-27 for Zha, and the other two had it 29-28.
Yeah.
I thought the Zha won, and
Me too.
here's the other thing that bothered me was the stand-up in the second round. So there was a legal up kick. First off, no point deduction. Okay, so
Mark
again,
Smith.
So inconsistent with, like, they take one for the headbutt, but they don't take it for the illegal kick. And I know, again, it wasn't the most damaging kick, but still, like, he landed it. But what bothered me was Mark Smith didn't bother to give him the position back.
Yeah.
And didn't even ask it. Like, and the commentators were like joking about it too, which I thought was a little bizarre, to be honest. The way they were talking about it, they were like, oh, maybe we missed them talking about it, but it's not a big deal. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, it is a big deal. Like,
Mark Smith was just too lazy to ask an interpreter to ask if he wants the position back.
Terrible. Like, bro, why would he not want the position back? To be fair, I'm looking at the scorecards right now. Two of the judges had it the second round for, but Gino Camijo didn't give it to him. And I think if that fight stayed in the ground the whole time, he would have won the round.
Yeah.
I think this guy got screwed, man, personally. What do you think?
Me too, definitely. I think he won the fight. And you can even make a case for 30-27 that Montalvo had, I know he didn't do much with the top position, but still, I don't feel like his opponent was the name Lee. He also didn't do much back. So, I mean, this was actually the worst of the 4 fights on the road to UFC finals.
And again, I know stats are just one thing, but I'm just looking at them right now. And the strike count was 25-24, but the one guy had 8 minutes of control and 5 takedowns. So if the strikes are the same, the grappling comes into play, obviously, and that guy completely out-grappled him. I think he won the fight, and I think he got a raw deal by Mark Smith, man, personally. So we got our pick right, but it's not one that I'm like proud of because I don't think the guy won, personally. John's talking about when the judges. He's right. They do pick and choose when to follow the new scoring criteria. And that's why, like, when these judging guys come out, these apologists on Twitter are like, follow the new criteria. Like, first off, it's not new. It's like 5 years old. It's not new. And second off, the judges themselves don't follow it. So why the fuck does everyone on Twitter have to? You know what I mean, Marcel? Like, anyways. Again, I think when the strike count's basically the same, you do have to go to the control and the takedowns, right? So I thought Ja won the fight. I do think he should have won, but it is what it is. Our boy Rinya Nakamura, Marcel, we both like this guy. He gets a knockout win here. It looked amazing. 33-second knockout. Two knockdowns in the 33 seconds. Marcel, what's this guy's ceiling? Because, like, I think he's a really good prospect, man, at 135. Obviously, great division. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy breaks in the top 15 in a couple of years. What do you think, man?
It's real difficult to say, man, because the opponents is we don't know. I need to see him against somebody, against a talented fighter just outside the top 15 before I can say anything. But he looks good, definitely. He looks like the most promising guy of the whole road to far UFC final. So yeah.
Him and Jubilee. I mean, if they can find just even one guy who's like I don't even know if a star is the word, but like if they can find a good top 15 guy, that's a win for the UFC. That's what they're looking for. Next fight here, Young Sung Park defeats Sung Guk Choi. Comes back in the third round. Marcel wins with a submission, like with 2 minutes left. Great comeback, man. Because this guy was losing the fight. It comes back and wins. Man, I mean, it looked like an upset. I got to be honest, Marcel. It looked like it was going to be an upset, and then guy pulls off the rabbit out of his hat, as they say. What do you think of the comeback?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that it was a comeback. I think it was 1-1 going into the third round. I think the first round he lost, the second round he won, was 1-1. But the other guy looked much better than I expected. So
I want to see what the scorecards were. Was it 1-1 or did they have it 2-0? I want to double check that.
I know you should. I check it.
I'm checking right now. Yeah, I want to see that. I think I again, I watch it in the morning, so I can't remember.
Yeah, no problem.
They had one had it 2-0 and the other two had it 1-1. But the judges actually had the rounds different.
Okay.
So Chris Lee had the first round for the Park guy, and then Eric Clone had the first round for Choi. I don't know, man. It's really like again the judging, and then the other had 2-0. It's just all over the place.
But let's be honest, no disrespect, but they kind of look like each other, if you don't know. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, look at this. That's where you look at the shorts.
Yeah. That's why they mixed up.
But we got our boy Joe in the chat. What's going on, Joe? John, can't wait to see O'Brien's book. He's good, man. And again, when I saw that picture of him on Tapology with the singlet, Marcel, I was like, okay, this guy's going to be fucking good in the UFC. Anytime the guy's wearing a singlet in the Tapology picture, usually wins the fights. Next fight was actually canceled, Marcel. Mandy Boom and what's her name? Firefist.
Ji Young Kim.
Yeah. What happened?
I don't know. I talk very short to Mandy, and she is like, I feel a little bit more better now. Since I came back from the hospital, she said, but I don't know exactly what happened.
So how much weight did she cut? Do you know?
No, I have no idea. I have really no idea. I didn't want to ask anymore because she obviously felt bad. So yeah.
You know if they got paid? You know if they get the show money?
I think Ji Young Kim definitely got paid, and I don't know. It depends what happened to Mandy. If she can't do anything about it, she probably got paid. I don't think she's on the high.
No, they're making 10 and 12 and 12 probably. By the way, Doohoo Choi got his win bonus, which again I don't have a problem with that, but like I wish Dana was more consistent with that too.
Yeah.
Like, anyways, Junkyard Park gets the win over Dennis Tulun and Marcel. He looked great, right, Marcel? Just dominated the fight.
Finally, a fight where Park was really like convincing. Sometimes he is convincing, but this one was really good. Yeah. He beat up Tulun completely, and then he choked him out.
Fight was not competitive at all.
No, man, it's actually kind of sad. How good he looked. Actually. If that fight was on the main card, I think that would have been fun as well. At least we would have seen a cool finish instead of
no bonus for him either in domination.
No, I don't understand.
And I checked his record, 6-2 with only one bonus, and he's got 6 wins. So I think he should have got a bonus. I think him and Neckerberg, like I don't blame the Park guy not getting one because honestly, like it wasn't the greatest performance and he came back and win. But the other guys look good and they should have got bonuses. So and Tulun now, Marcel 1-2 with 2 submission losses. Like I think he'll get his 4th fight because obviously they all sign 4 fight deals, but don't really know if he's UFC caliber. I think he can beat the Jamie Pickett's of the world, Marcel, but step up in competition, he's going to lose. Last fight here, Tatsuro Taira obviously gets the win over Seiju Aguilar. That guillotine. Here's the thing, like he was in half guard, so the commentators were like, "Oh my god, this is really tight." And I'm like, "He's in half guard, guys. He's not going to choke him out." Like we don't see at this level of sport how often do we see a guillotine choke over half guard. They got a little bit too excited. I almost thought Joe Rogan was on the call because Joe when he sees a guillotine, he starts freaking out. Guillotine. Fight's over. Like Marcel, I don't know. Like I'm just saying. Like by the way, I thought Laura did a great job, but like she always does a great job. I don't know why people were like surprised she did a good job. Like we've seen her a contender for years. She's great. I thought the call was fine overall. I thought Bisping was good and John Gooden. I just thought this particular fight, like I just think sometimes they get a little too excited with the submissions. Like when we all know that a guy in half guard is probably not going to tap out, Marcel, especially a guy like Taira. So anyways, he turns the fight around, gets the submission win, gets the bonus. He's ready for a top 15 guy, in my opinion. Like I think I looked at the rankings the other day. It was like Tyson Nam is 15th, I think. Like I think that's a fine fight. That fight makes sense,
Tyson Nam is fighting Bruno Silva.
Oh, he is? Okay. So the winner of that fight, maybe, or even the loser, it doesn't matter. But like I think he's ready for the top 15 now. He's 3-0 now, right? In the UFC. Yeah. So he's ready.
And an impressive way as well. So yeah.
He's good. He's 23. Just turned 23. I think you said this. He's Japan's best hope probably for a champion, right?
Definitely, but he should stop screaming after the fight at the post-fight interview.
That's funny. Let's get to other comments. We got our boy Gorilla Gambles. Gorilla, what's going on, man? Thanks again for the artwork for the podcast. Hype's talking about she's on my cup of tea, talking about Laura. I think Laura's good, man. But giving the Elliott treatment. Tim Elliott. They could do that.
Tricky fight, but a fun one. Then you know where you stand pretty much.
Tim Elliott's he's not an easy guy to fight. I'll say that. Like that's a tough fight for a lot of guys. All right. Anything else you want to say about UFC Vegas 68? Or you want to move on to Bellator? Talk about that.
Let's move on to Bellator.
All right, cool. Let's talk about Bellator 290, guys. We'll just recap it quickly. So, not a bad card. I mean, on paper, like it was probably one of their stronger cards, to be honest with you. Let's just go through the main card and we'll go through prelims. We'll start with the actual main card before we get to the post lims. There was 4 post lims, Marcel, dark matches. I guess they weren't YouTube. I didn't watch it though.
No, me neither.
After the Fader fight, so Ryan Bader knocks out Fader. I mean, I'm not surprised at all. Again, I think there was a lot of value in Ryan Bader in this fight. fight was not. It was he didn't even break a sweat, man. Let's be honest. Fedor, and a lot of people were like, oh, like Bellator was sending him off, and the way they're doing it with all the legends coming in, that was awesome. But was it really a good send off? They gave him like such a hard opponent here. Like
he wanted this fight. He requested it.
He did, but he got destroyed again, Marcel. I love Fedor. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He's a legend. I just hope he actually stays retired this time. That's what I want to say. But yeah, Ryan Bader's still a great fighter, man. You know, like since he moved to Bellator, Marcel has such. Let me check his record: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, and 1, no contest, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 8, 2, and 1. No, 9, 2, and 1, no contest. It's a good record, man. And he's obviously a 2-division champ. I always wondered how his career would go in the UFC if he stayed around. I think he still would have been a top 5 guy for a long time. Anyways, yeah, Fedor. What else can we say, Marcel? Just one of the guys that got me into the sport. Loved watching him fight back in the day. Obviously, not the same guy anymore, but you know, an absolute legend through and through. And you know, it was just sad seeing Dana White shit on him at the press conference. And why the fuck are these journalists even asking about him? He's not even in the promotion, and we know what Dana's going to say. He's going to talk shit about the guy. I know you had something to say. You want to say anything about that? Because I knew you were pissed off, right?
I tweeted about it, man, and people were like, "Yeah, they have to ask it." No, you don't. You know what Dana knows. It says about Fedor. So why would you even bother? Yeah. You just want to have a quick quote for your article. That's it. You know, yeah. It's just stupid. For me, Fedor, in my opinion, is still the heavyweight GOAT. You know, nobody did what he did. 10 years undefeated, and he fought the best of the best back then. You know, in Pride. Pride was the premier organization. Was at the best heavyweight division, and to be honest, the champions the UFC had around that time were Arlovsky and Sylvia, and he stopped them as well. And when they came over from the UFC, I think he fought them in Affliction. So yeah, in my opinion, you know, people are like, yeah, he would lose now to Ngannou and Miocic. Yeah, of course he would. You know, it's
46.
It's like it's eras. You know, you can't compare eras. I don't know. Do you know Adam Sala?
Yeah, the guy from Ultimate Fighter. The guy
Yeah. I was in discussion with him on Facebook. He was like, I don't understand why people call Fedor the GOAT. You gotta explain to me. So I explained to him. I was like, dude, he pretty much beat all the top guys back then. You know, Rodrigo Nogueira, Randleman, Mark Coleman, Crow Cop, exactly. So he beat a lot of the top guys, and he is like, yeah, but Nogueira, I don't see him as an MMA fighter. He's more a BJJ fighter, and Randleman and Coleman are wrestlers. I was like, dude,
former champions.
It's eras. You know what I mean? It's not like there weren't a lot of complete fighters in the early days. You know, you can't compare. He's like, yeah, John Jones is the go to me. I was like, yeah, but that's it's also light heavyweight. I don't compare light heavyweight to heavyweight, and for me, John Jones is as well. But the thing is, you know, John Jones fought at a later stage. Would Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz consider legends if John Jones was around in that era? I don't know, you know, but we will never know because they were around in that era and Jones wasn't because he was still too young back then, you know. Would Tito and Chuck beat John Jones in the era of John Jones? No, you know, but you can't compare eras. That's the thing, you know. For example, there are so many examples, but I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people who are starting MMA. Listen, man, I also did. I started watching MMA, and then Fedor was in his prime when I started watching MMA. You know, so I saw Fedor fighting live, the best ones. You know, and at a certain moment, yeah, it went down. It didn't went well anymore. It was not in his prime anymore. But the thing is, like, I see sometimes a lot of people saying like, I started watching at 2016. And that's like, did you watch anything back? No, I don't watch things back. I just watch forward. That's like, dude, if you don't watch back, you cannot have an opinion on what happened back in the day. You
can't appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. So you just can't have an opinion on that, in my opinion. And also the thing that the most annoying thing that I hear, and that's something I got to tell you, man, when I started watching Fedor, and Fedor was already like big time, but I started watching UFC. I didn't really know about Pride back then, you know. I started with UFC, and then people tell me like, Fedor, he's the best heavyweight, and that's like, dude, he's not in the UFC. And they're like, you should watch him, you know. So I watch. It's like, dude, he's really good, and he's fighting the big guys, and actually the division is bigger there than it was in the UFC back then,
Right.
So I completely changed my mind on it. You got to lecture yourself about it, and I was like, yeah, these people are actually right. He is the best at that moment, and it's crazy who we all fought in that moment. He also don't get me wrong. He also fought like guys like Zuluzinho and Hongman Choi,
Yeah.
But and that's where people always referring
Bro,
to.
you know how many times I've watched that Zulu fight? I've watched that
Yeah.
fight so many times. It's so funny.
Yeah, but that's where people always referring to when they want to say
I
that
know.
Fedor isn't that great, But
They don't bring
you
up the other wins over Krokop, Coleman, Nogueira.
got to look at the bigger picture. I mean, who
Keith
would
Haring, Sammy Schilt, all these guys, man.
the Randleman fight, dude? When he got dropped on his head and then he got the Kimura, it's like crazy, So
I agree.
I really think the younger people and the people who like are Dana White's hand puppets really should watch back older fights and appreciate that a little bit more. That's how I look at it. You don't have to think Fedor is the GOAT. Don't get me wrong. It's completely your opinion.
Doesn't agree.
I agree that okay, he can say that, but he doesn't have to agree with it's not the GOAT. But you got to agree that he's a legend of the sport.
He is. I mean,
if you don't agree, he's not a legend of the sport, or he wasn't good. Your opinion is completely invalid to me. You know what I mean?
No, for me, it's like I guess I would still consider him, but like I do think Stipe, like there are arguments there. You know what I mean? Like there's no doubt because he has such a great record himself. So, and then Jones, I don't think would never be the greatest heavyweight, but maybe he'll go on a crazy run in the second half of his career. But anyways, let's go to some other fights.
Go ahead. That's also why I always feel like you gotta how do you say that? You gotta put GOATs into weight classes, because if somebody comes with Fedor, oh no, I think Anderson Silva. No, you're wrong. It's GSP. No, you're wrong. It's John Jones. No, you're wrong. It's BJ Penn. No, you're wrong. It's Khabib. So it's always something like that. Put it in weight classes, much easier. And then you can pick more GOATs. You can pick, for example, Anderson Silva as the middleweight GOAT, George St. Pierre as the welterweight GOAT, John Jones as the light heavyweight GOAT, Fedor as the heavyweight GOAT. Lightweight GOAT Khabib, or if you want to do BJ Penn, I'm also cool with that. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing.
Yeah, no, fair enough. A couple other comments here. You forget prize at top of the future, 100%. Bader and Tabura, I would pick Bader. Which is the better match over London? Duncan, Rebecca, or Duncan Benoit? I like that Benoit said the fight. I like that.
But he's both not going to fight Rebecca or Benoit, so.
Okay. He has a fight book though.
Yeah.
Okay. Fedor's 1-3 strike versus prime. He's great heavyweight, but not GOAT. Yeah, I don't even know if that's his prime though, Marcus. That was 12 years ago, so he was in his mid-30s at that point. I don't know if that would consider his prime. I think he's out of his prime at that point. Kane had Kane was great too. And I mean, again, he didn't have a lot of fights though. He got injured, and I don't know. He's not in jail anymore, right? I think he's out of jail.
He's not.
I don't think he's gonna fight ever again though. I would doubt it. So you can't.
It's
legacy.
It's almost impossible to stay undefeated for 10 years fighting the best guys in the heavyweight division, And there's only loss in between. That was a fight against Tsuyoshi Kosaka, which he lost due to an unintentional elbow, and he was cut open. It was a tournament fight, so they had somebody to proceed, and that went a win. But that should have been a no contest,
Yeah, he shouldn't have lost that fight. I've seen that fight. I don't know why. I don't know why I set my alarm for right now. I think I meant to set it for 12 hours from now. My bad. A couple other fights. Well, I'll just go through the card, I guess. Johnny Eblin gets the win over Anatoly Tokov. Mm-hmm. The wrestling, is very good, Marcel, from this guy.
Yeah, it is.
Not the most exciting guy to watch, I guess. But man, he's good. There's no doubt about it. Now, Ali Abdelaziz comes out and says he's the best middleweight in the world. I don't know about that. What do you think?
Does he manage him?
Does he? Probably. I mean, I'm assuming.
If he manages him, it's also not valid. You know what I mean? If he doesn't,
he's definitely I would say probably top 5 at this point. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. And listen, man, if you match him up against Alex Pereira, he has a good chance to win the fight. For example,
based on the styles, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but also, I don't know if you saw Dalton Rosta's tweet earlier today.
Saw that.
I mean, I get so tired of these Bellator versus UFC kind of talk. What never going to happen? What's the deal? It's just never going to happen.
I know what you're saying. There's no point even comparing it. I loved Igor Vachanian.
Yeah,
awesome.
he's great.
Loved him, man. Loved him. Anyways, Brennan Ward gets the win over Sabah Hamasi. Looked great. Looked awesome, Marcel. Great performance as the underdog here. Actually, there was a lot of upsets on this card. There was a lot of upsets. But yeah, Ward looked great. And then he called out, I think he called for a title shot at 170, or he called for Dalton Ross at 185. I'm good with either.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's exciting to watch, man. He's been in Bellator for a long time. He's been through a lot in his life. I like watching the guy fight, Marcel.
Me too.
It was a nice win for him. Going through the prelims here, Lorenz Larkin gets the knockout win over Muhammad Bekramov. What a win, eh, Marcel? Like, I mean, if the bonus is out, this would have been 50,000, obviously, right? So,
dude, he might be already FC now knockout of the year. You know, definitely
brutal.
A contender.
Fucking crazy. He's always had good elbows. That's how he knocked out Neil Magny. Remember when he knocked him out with the elbows?
You know what was the most beautiful thing about that one? He walked away.
Yeah.
He walked. That makes it even better. You know, you hit him with one beautiful shot and you walk away.
It was gorgeous. I've always liked Lorenz Larkin. I've always found him exciting. Back in Strikeforce, you know, he left the UFC for more money, but the guy had some big wins in the UFC over Magny, Masvidal, Ponzinibbio. Like, he's a good fighter. Since coming to Bellator, Marcel, he is 7-2 in 1 no contest. He had 2 losses to start his career in Bellator and hasn't lost since then. So he hasn't lost in 6 years, guys. He's a good fighter, and I think he's probably close to a title shot. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say definitely, and definitely if you would win like this, you know,
maybe he fights the winner of Storley and Amosov. Maybe he gets the title shot.
I'd like to see it, man. You know,
and he's got pretty good takedown defense, man. So like, it'd be an interesting fight if he fought like one of those wrestlers. I think it'd be interesting. You could also do. I don't think he's fought Michael Page. I don't know if Michael is he still in Bellator?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah,
you could do that fight. You know, I don't really like that guy. I think he's so overrated. But I mean, that is a fun fight on paper because it's 2 strikers, right? So, Henry Corrales, biggest upset of the night. Marcel plus 450 underdog defeats your boy Akhmed Magomedov. What happened to this guy, Marcel? Akhmed Magomedov looked terrible in this fight.
I got to be honest, Adam. I haven't been able to watch these fights.
Okay, no worries.
I only saw the main card and Lawrence Larkin.
I'll just go through them quickly then. But yeah, he didn't look great, but he got the job done. You know, so as a big underdog, good for him. I mean, Again, you know, I don't think we picked him. So this fight between Ali Isaev and Steve Mowry was kind of interesting because the second round was an absolutely easily a 10-8 round. I thought it was 10-7, but the judges had 10-8. There was a draw between these two guys. Not the most exciting fight, but the fact this guy was able to survive the second round was impressive. Chris Gonzalez, great knock over Max Roscoff, looked awesome. Underrated guy. Grant Neal had the win over Carl Appleton by split decision. Deanna Avsaragova defeated Alejandro Lara by split decision.
Dude. Poor Alejandro Lara, another split decision loss.
Yeah, I kind of thought she won the fight, but you know, I saw a lot of people going either way on Twitter. But the other girl missed weight too, right? So like, I feel like when you miss weight, it's like, I don't know. I know on Road FC or whatever, they take a point away from them. I don't know. I just feel like there should be a punishment of some sort in a close fight like this. But anyways, Nikita Mikhailov defeats Darren Caldwell. Darren Caldwell, man, what happened to this guy? Like, man, lost 4 straight fights. Yeah. Wow. And then obviously the prelims, you had Jalen Bates won his fight, and then Neiman Gracie won his fight. So overall, I mean, actually not a bad card. Anything else in this card, or are you good?
I'm good. I just want to say to Bellator that I think that it's beautiful what they did with the legends to invite them. And I mean, if you don't know the greatness of Fedor, you see how many legends wanted to honor him with this last fight. You know, you see how many great fighters were there. Even Jean-Claude Van Damme was in the crowd. So yeah, I mean that's something cool, I think. You know, and yeah. I really think that's the way you should do it. I mean, the fight, obviously didn't end it how it would be perfect for him to go out, you know. But that was already before the fight. We knew it was probably not going to happen. But I think the ceremony afterwards were perfect, and I really liked that. I really enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah, me too. This guy hype saying he thought Caldwell won. A lot of people did.
The only thing that's really funny to me is, like, I think Fedor and Alexander Emelianenko have been, how do you say that?
Framed, I guess.
Exactly. Right? And then Hunter Gracie has Alexander Emelianenko t-shirt on.
That's funny. He's
like this on the picture.
That's funny.
You should check that picture where they're all on it after the fight.
Yeah, I'll check it. The elbow was nice, Gorilla. And then I got this last comment here. He's talking about Tim Simpson. Yeah, he's a manager. He took all their best stars, right? So. I don't do interviews and stuff, so it doesn't affect me. But I know, like, for guys like Cole and James, like, they have to like go through these management guys, so it's more important for them. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the guy took a lot of the best talent, right? Anyways, I know you have something to say.
Yeah, Tim. I've talked to Tim before. He's a really nice dude, man. To be really honest, and he's always really like he likes to answer your questions if you ask him anything. So I have no problem. And the thing is, like the fighters he took with him, like Jack Della, Leon Edwards, Israel Adesanya, Casey O'Neill. That's also the and Leon and Hassan Mohammed Makayev. Those are the guys and girls he really put the work in.
Yeah,
He was always around them as well during fights. He was always there. They always interfere with him. So he was basically their manager already. But he was just affiliated with Paradigm, right? So Paradigm, right?
yeah,
So yeah, with Paradigm. So and that's with Audi Attar, I think. Yeah, I mean, if he feels like he should do something on himself, he can do it. And the thing is, with like, I understand that it looks really weird that you take like the majority of the stars from Paradigm, but the thing is, if you're already their manager and you want to start something on your own, it's pretty common those guys and girls coming with you, because you already were their manager. You know what I mean? It's like for example, if you had a talent agency or whatever, and you had me signed there, and you did all my stuff, for example, and I'm happy with you, and you are like, I'm going to go on my own. I'm gonna come with you. You know what I mean? Because I'm happy with you. That's pretty much how it is, and it's pretty hard for Paradigm. I understand that, but yeah, it's how it goes. It's how it goes.
absolutely. All right. Last comment here. Hey, what's up, Side Collectibles? Well, you picked a when's next tournament. Ooh, that's a good question. That's the lightweight tournament, I believe. I mean, I would lean towards Usman, right? I'm assuming you would too.
Usman or Shabli? I think Usman.
And you like him, yeah.
Yeah.
With Marcel, fighters are going to fall to him because he's their guy. Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's it for this podcast, guys. We're going to start a new one up in a second. We're going to break down UFC 284. Looking forward to that. Marcel, really quickly, just plug everything, or do you want me to do it again? And like,
yeah, man, you do it, man. Come
I've been doing a good job with this. Like, so me on Twitter at @Martin. Marcel's Big Marcel 24. You can follow him on Twitter, Instagram for all your news and on fight announcements. We'll be starting another podcast here in just a minute, guys. We're going to break down UFC 284, so bear with us for just a couple minutes ago. I set it up. We'll talk to you guys in a few. And if you guys don't join us, no worries. But we'll see you guys next week. But hopefully you guys do stick around for the next podcast because I'm looking forward to talking about this card. All right, talk to you guys in a few minutes. Peace.